Good evening, everyone. And happy Sabbath. Just to introduce to you, feliz sábado. Buenas tardes, feliz sábado. We're really happy to be here with you tonight, just to introduce a little bit to you of who we are. Dan is my stepfather, and he plays the piano for me. My grandmother, Jean, is also here. My mom was not able to make it today. But our family has a music ministry called Dawn of Hope Ministry. It's a full-time music ministry, and we traveled around the United States into Canada, Mexico. We were in the Philippines last year. Just feeling very much called to share with others the things that God has shown us. And sometimes he reveals the most beautiful truths through the most difficult trials. And I will be sharing some of my testimony with you this evening in that regard. But we want to start with a song that is taken from Psalm 113, verses 3 and 4. From the rising of the sun until its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. From the rising of the sun until its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. The Lord is high above all nations. His glory is above the heavens, and from the rising of the sun until its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. O Lord, you're high above all nations. Your glory is above the heavens, and from the rising of the sun until its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. And since that glorious morning when the stone was rolled away, because you live, we rise to give our offering each day. From the rising of the sun until its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. From the rising of the sun until its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. The name of the Lord, your name, O Lord, the name of the Lord is to be praised. Father in heaven, we come to you today praising your holy name, praising you for your goodness and your love, for your grace and mercy toward us, Father. And may we never cease to give thanks to you for everything you've given us through the gift of Jesus. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that bought my liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary and view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous the grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary and view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous the grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. Para mis hermanos que hablan español, estas dos canciones son para ustedes. La primera canción es Mi paz te doy a ti y la segunda canción es Cristo es la peña de Oreb. Mi paz te doy a ti. Es la paz que el mundo no da. Es la paz que el mundo no entiende. Es amor que el mundo no da. Es amor que el mundo no entiende. Para ti recíbelo, mi amor te doy a ti. Es amor que el mundo no entiende, mi amor te doy a ti. Cristo es la peña de Oreb que está botando agua de vida saludable para ti. Cristo es la peña de Oreb que está brotando agua de vida saludable para ti. Ven a tomarla, que es más dulce que la miel. Refresca el alma, refresca todo tu ser. Cristo es la peña de Oreb que está brotando agua de vida saludable para ti. Cristo es el lirio del valle de las flores. Él es la rosa blanca y pura de Sarón. Cristo es la vida y amor de los amores. Él es la eterna fuente de la salvación. Ven a tomarla, que es más dulce que la miel. Refresca el alma, refresca todo tu ser. Cristo es la peña de Oreb que está brotando agua de vida saludable para ti. Ven a tomarla, que es más dulce que la miel. Refresca el alma, refresca todo tu ser. Cristo es la peña de Oreb que está brotando agua de vida saludable para ti. Periodically, one is bound to have a concert without mishaps. And I apologize if any of you picked up on what was going on. Somehow my watch alarm got turned on. And I had to quickly stop it before all of you would end up possibly hearing a rooster crow at 6:20 in the evening. And as I quickly stopped my watch, I was reminded of back when I was 10 years old, and there was a music contest. It actually took place at Southwestern. And we were there. It was the summer of 1990, and we were providing music there. And I had just gotten my very first talking watch, which I absolutely had so much fun with. But unfortunately, not all of the functions of the watch spoke. So, for example, I had to have help setting the alarm and so forth. And for whatever reason, I wanted the alarm set for noon. And it would speak and it would play a little song at 12 o'clock, and then it would speak and play a song at 12:05, and then again at 12:10. Well, unfortunately, we were in the convention and had completely forgotten about the alarm. And we did not know how to turn off the alarm once it started. And so my mom had to take my watch and bury it, I don't know if it was in her purse or under a napkin or something, to keep people from hearing it. So all things happen periodically. But what I want to share with you now is just a little bit of God working with me in the process of teaching me how to trust him. It can be very easy for me in my human nature to become anxious and frustrated when things go wrong. And it can be very easy to plunge into spiritual 911 mode when that happens and find yourself praying in a mindset of anxiety, pleading with God to work things out, which of course brings no peace. Some years ago, a couple of friends of mine gave me a keychain with a button on it. And when you press the button, a recorded voice speaks the Serenity Prayer. Well, I put the keychain in my waist pack that I carried with me wherever I traveled. And one day my waist pack was laying on my bed, and when I walked into my room, I discovered that the zipper of the waist pack was caught on the quilt. Not exactly a crisis by any means, but enough to get me frustrated nonetheless. And so I began frantically trying to disconnect the zipper from the quilt and was getting absolutely nowhere. And as I continued trying to disconnect it without success, I was really getting frustrated with this whole thing. And suddenly, in the midst of my frustration, I suddenly heard this little voice from within my waist pack saying, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And there is no doubt in my mind that God has a sense of humor. But God has been teaching me, getting it through my head, that all of the worrying in the world is not going to change whatever I am worried about. So he has been teaching me when faced with an anxiety-producing situation to stop where I'm at, go to him in a calm and confident manner, regardless of how I'm feeling, present the situation to him, and then leave it in his hands. And by the way, leaving it in his hands does not mean giving it to him and then coming back to check up on it later. But I have discovered the peace that comes when I take a situation over which I have no control and place it in the hands of the one who is in control of all things. It is so important that we learn to trust God now, because we know that this world is not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get worse. And God, in his mercy, allows us now to be placed in situations that stretch our comfort zones so that we will learn to trust God more. It is his goal that through these experiences, that when the end time crisis hits, trusting God will be an automatic response for us. These are peril times we live in, trouble everywhere. Weary hearts will often give in to this world's despair. But If you will look, you'll find his promise there. He who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. He who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice, you upright in heart. Lift up your voice, for great is his mercy toward all who trust in the Lord. Soon will be the time when we will see the Holy One. And oh, how sweet to know that he'll complete what he's begun. And blessed is the man who stands forgiven in God's Son. And blessed are they who in that day will hear him say, well done. He who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. He who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice, you upright in heart. Lift up your voice, for great is his mercy toward all who trust in the Lord. Gracious is he and slow to anger. His loving kindness has no end. With love to embrace both friend and stranger, he's reaching out to one and all who upon his name will call. For he who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. He who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice, you upright in heart. Lift up your voice, for great is his mercy toward all who trust in the Lord. Mercy is his reward for all who trust, for the pure and just who put their trust in the Lord. Mercy is his reward. Great is his mercy toward all who put their trust in the Lord. Angels all around me guide my footsteps, lest I stray. Evil ones surround me, though their powers kept at bay. And though terror strikes by nighttime, and the arrows fly by day, Lord, you are my refuge. I will trust in you and will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the secret place of God. Cover me with feathers from your wings. I'm hiding there underneath a canopy of safety and of care. And if once again I wander, find my foot trapped in the snare, even though I can see no escape, I'll still declare, He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the secret place of God. Those who know and love me, I will rescue, says the Lord. Favor and abundant life I'll give as my reward. And when they're in trouble, I will answer when they cry. There I will see my glory, for I'll raise them up on high. Those who dwell in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. You who dwell in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the secret place. You'll abide in the secret place. We'll abide in the secret place of God. Ahora voy a cantar dos canciones en español. La primera canción es A mí me amó Jesús y la segunda canción es Quebrantado y derramado. A mí me amó Jesús por los siglos de los siglos. A mí me amó Jesús antes que pudiera estrellas y antes que el mundo fuese, antes que el inmenso mar. Por la eternidad pensó Jesús en mí. Mi nombre conoció
Antes que pudiese yo hablar, a mí me amó Jesús con amor que nunca cambiará. Si mucho antes que saber su plan de salvación, oh, qué bondad, a mí me amó Jesús. Mi nombre conoció antes que pudiese yo hablar. A mí me amó Jesús con amor que nunca cambiará. Si mucho antes de saber su plan de salvación, oh, qué bondad, a mí me amó Jesús. Una mujer muy humilde, rendida en su amor al Señor, hace vertir un fino alabastro sin estimar su valor, y al derramar la fragancia, el perfume se liberó como un preso ya sin cadenas, como un alma que del mal se libró. Fui quebrantado por amor a ti, Cristo, mi precioso tesoro. Por ti derramé. Fui quebrantado y ofrecido a tus pies. En dulce abandono, ver que mi vida por ti derramé. Tú, el tesoro del cielo, el único Hijo de Dios, fuiste enviado por su amor te guió. Y tú tan perfecto y santo, vicario te diste por mí. Por mi perdón tú has pagado. Fuiste inmolado por mí. Tú quebrantado. Porque tanto me amas. Precioso tesoro vertido por mí. Tú quebrantado, vertido a mis pies. En dulce abandono, Cristo, tu vida derramaste por mí. En dulce abandono, que sea mi vida derramada por ti.
I really appreciate the words to this next song because it is very much my testimony. Several years ago, I suddenly became very ill. And even though I wept and I pled with God for healing and my family prayed, I continued to get worse. And it seemed as though most of the time, God was silent. At one point, I found myself tempted to give up on God entirely. I eventually became so ill that I could no longer function. I could barely pray. Reading the Bible became so difficult that I stopped reading it. I thought that I had lost my spiritual life. However, the reason that I stand before you now is because not only did God bring me through that trial, but he held on to me when I was incapable of holding on to him. The fact that I am up here right now has absolutely nothing to do with me and absolutely everything to do with him. I remember the day that I felt tempted to give up on God. We were at a camp meeting at the time. And I said to the Lord, Lord, I don't want to make the decision I'm about to make, but you're going to have to hold me up. I said that most of the time it seemed as though God was silent. Well, that was one time during which God was not silent. As soon as I prayed that prayer, he literally flooded my mind with the scriptures I needed at that moment. And then later, he convicted me that I needed to go listen to a sermon that was being preached, and he spoke to me through that sermon as well. My trial did not immediately end after that experience, but it's an experience that I have never forgotten. Even after passing through that trial, for a long time, I couldn't understand why God allowed it to happen. Why did God allow something that I thought had been a hindrance in my relationship with him. It didn't make sense. I couldn't see any good coming out of something like that. However, as time has gone by, and as God has started to show me glimpses of the bigger picture, not only am I beginning to see the blessings that God brought out of that trial, but I have come to realize that the very trial that I thought had been a hindrance in my relationship with God actually served to deepen my understanding of his character. What God did for me through that trial, he will do for you, whatever you are facing, if you trust him, if you let him. If all you can do right now is rest in his arms, that's okay. Let him carry you. He is carrying you even when you don't feel it. And during the times when he seems far away, he is closer to you than he ever has been before. During times when you feel yourself losing hold upon God, cry out to him for help, and he will hold on to you and never let you go. Nothing can snatch you out of his hand. It can be very easy when faced with the storms of life to feel like a ship tossed back and forth on stormy seas, with sails torn and the ship battered, especially when it seems as though life is falling apart and everything is spinning out of control. But as long as your anchor holds, you will make it through. And if you cry out to God for help, I promise you that he will make sure your anchor holds.
I have journeyed through the long dark nights, out on the open sea, by faith alone, sight unknown, and yet his eyes were watching me. The anchor holds, though the ship is battered. The anchor holds, though the sails are torn. I have fallen on my knees as I faced the raging seas, but the anchor holds in spite of the storm. I've had visions and I've had dreams. I've even held them in my hands, but I never knew those dreams could slip right through, like they were only grains of sand. Oh, but the anchor holds, though the ship is battered. The anchor holds, though the sails are torn. I have fallen on my knees of the storm. Now I have been young, but I am older now. Oh, and there has been beauty these eyes have seen, but it was in the night when I faced the storms of my life. Oh, that's where God proved His love to me. The anchor holds, though the ship is battered. The anchor holds, though the sails are torn. I have fallen on my knees as I face the raging seas. Oh, but the anchor holds in spite of the storm. I said I have fallen down on my knees as I face the raging seas. Oh, but the anchor holds in spite of the storm. Gracias, Señor, por las pruebas que vienen a mí, porque puedo crecer así y amarte más. Gracias, Señor, que al estar en dificultad puedo ver mi necesidad y acercarme a ti. Muchas veces no veo la razón por qué me viene aflicción, mas sé que tú lo has permitido para mi bien. Y te doy las gracias, oh Señor, mi Dios de todo corazón. Descanso en tu fidelidad, mi gran amor. Gracias, Señor, por las cosas que quitas de mí, porque encuentro que solo en ti hay satisfacción. Gracias, Señor, que en el dolor o enfermedad me sostienes con tu bondad paz. Muchas veces no veo la razón porque me viene aflicción, mas sé que tú lo has permitido para mi bien. Y te doy las gracias, oh Señor, mi Dios de todo corazón. Descanso en tu fidelidad, mi gran amor.
If God is allowing trials into your life, it's not because he's against you. It's because he's for you. It's because he sees something precious and beautiful in you that he can mold and shape and perfect and use to glorify his name. In the words of Ellen White, he does not cast worthless stones into his furnace. In the midst of the brokenness you are feeling through your trials, you can take comfort in the fact that Jesus chose to be broken for you. I'm not sure how many of us would choose to go through what Jesus went through if given the choice. Jesus didn't have to go through any of it, but incredibly he chose to. And because he chose to, he can personally identify with us in our pain. If you have been abused, Jesus knows what it's like to be abused. If you have been misunderstood, criticized, unfairly judged, Jesus knows what it's like to be misunderstood, criticized, and unfairly judged. If you have been rejected, abandoned, betrayed by those closest to you, Jesus knows what that's like. If you feel alone at a time when you need people the most, Jesus knows what that's like. If it feels as though God is far away and silent when you cry out to him, Jesus knows what that's like because he endured it on the cross. And because of everything that he chose to do for us, and because of his death and resurrection, everything he endured, not only can he personally identify with us in our pain, but he now has the right to heal us of that pain and set us free from the sins that enslave us. God will bring you through the trials you are facing, and when he does, he will give you a testimony. People can argue about many things, but no one can argue with your testimony. That is something no one can take away from you. The song we just sang in Spanish expresses thanks to God for the trials that come into our lives. It's hard to imagine now, but someday, when Jesus comes, we will thank him for the trials he allowed into our lives, because for the first time, Jesus will reveal all things to us. We will see the big picture, and we will see, as Ellen White so beautifully put it, that the way God led us is the way we would have chosen to be led if we could have seen the end from the beginning. We will discover that our most difficult trials and our seemingly unanswered prayers have turned out to be some of our greatest blessings. We are nearly home, and when we enter into that perfect world, everything we endured on this earth will seem like nothing in comparison to what God has in store for us. I'd hope and pray you will hear Jesus speaking words of comfort and encouragement to your hearts through this song. When you're feeling down and it just seems your world is falling
there to love you when your friends are gone, and it just feels like you've been fighting all alone. I'll dry your tears. I'll still be there to love you, even though sometimes you feel it hurts to be alone. But I know that one day soon all the pain will be behind us. No more sadness will find us. Will find us. Remember this. It won't be long. We'll be together, and we'll be going home. And in that day, you'll hear me say, I love you always. We'll be together, and we'll be going home. Until that time, when we meet face to face, we're gonna sing about the miracle of grace. But until then, know this, my friend, I love you always.
I'd like to invite you all to bow your heads. This song will be our benediction.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, salvation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I look forward to meeting each of you. And if any of you want to remain in touch with me after tonight, you are welcome to contact me on Facebook. Love to hear from you. God bless.